may think your relationship problem is that you have not found the right person yet. Erich Fromm would say the deeper problem is that modern people are trained to be attractive but not trained to love. We know how to improve our profile, choose better photos, sound more interesting, look more desirable, act less needy, and protect ourselves from looking too available. But very few people are taught how to care without controlling, how to commit without possessing, how to understand another person without turning them into a project, or how to stay present after the excitement becomes ordinary. That is why love feels so difficult. It is not only because dating is messy, it is because many people are trying to build love with the emotional skills of consumers. They compare, they evaluate, they upgrade, they keep one eye on the person in front of them and one eye on all the other options that might be better, and then they wonder why intimacy feels unstable. Fromm's book, The Art of Loving, is still powerful because it attacks one of the biggest lies in modern romance, the idea that love is mainly a matter of finding the right object. In other words, people assume loving is easy. The hard part is finding the correct person to love, the person beautiful enough, compatible enough, emotionally exciting enough, successful enough, safe enough, and perfectly matched to their needs. But Fromm asks a more uncomfortable question. What if love is not just something that happens to you when the right person appears? What if love is an ability? What if love is something you must learn, practice, discipline, and mature into? That changes everything, because it means the real question is not only who should I love, the real question is, am I capable of loving? This is painful because most people do not want to ask it. They want to ask, why did they not choose me? Why did they pull away? Why do I keep meeting the wrong people? Why does nobody love me the way I need? Those questions can be real, but Fromm would push deeper. He would say that many people are obsessed with the problem of being loved. They want to become lovable. They want to be admired, desired, chosen, missed, chased, valued, and confirmed. So they work on the image of love, not the capacity for love. They ask, how do I become more attractive? How do I make someone want me? How do I keep their attention? How do I avoid being abandoned? But the ability to be desired is not the same as the ability to love. Being chosen is not the same as becoming mature. Getting attention is not the same as building intimacy. This is why someone can be very attractive and still be unable to love well. They may know how to create chemistry, but not how to create safety. They may know how to make someone attached, but not how to respect that person's freedom. They may know how to receive affection, but not how to give care when care becomes inconvenient. The first major mistake is believing that love is a feeling. Of course, love has feeling in it. There can be tenderness, desire, warmth, longing, joy, and deeply emotional pull. But Fromm's point is that love is not merely a passive emotion that falls from the sky. Love is active. It is something you do with your whole character. A person can feel intensely and still not love maturely. They can feel jealous, obsessed, needy, excited, terrified of losing you, and convinced that you are their destiny. None of that automatically proves love. Sometimes intensity is just fear wearing romantic language. Sometimes longing is just insecurity with a beautiful soundtrack. Sometimes a person says they cannot live without you, not because they love you as a full human being, but because you regulate their loneliness. Fromm helps us separate intensity from maturity. Mature love is not just, I need you, so I love you. Mature love is closer to, I love you. I love you. And because I love you, I want your life, your growth, and your freedom to matter. That is a very different energy. The second mistake is treating love like a market. Modern dating often feels like an exchange of value. People ask, what do I bring? What do they bring? Are they out of my league? Can I do better? Do they raise my status? Are they worth the effort? This does not mean standards are bad. You should have standards. You should care about character, compatibility, stability, values, and emotional health. But when the market mindset becomes the whole relationship, people stop meeting each other as human beings. They meet as products. They try to sell themselves. They try to hide flaws. They fear being replaced. They keep evaluating whether the deal is still good. Love cannot breathe in that atmosphere because love requires presence, and the market mind is always calculating. It asks, am I getting enough? Am I losing power? Am I settling? Is there someone better again? Some of these questions can protect you from bad relationships, but if they become your entire way of relating, you may never experience another person directly. You experience them through comparison. You do not ask, who is this person? You ask, what does this person do for my self-image? That is not love. That is emotional shopping. Fromm's alternative is mature love, and he describes it through several qualities. The first is care. Care sounds simple, but it is not the same as anxiety, control, or constant checking. Care means active concern for the life and growth of the person you love. It asks, are they becoming more alive around me or smaller? Do I support their growth, or do I only like the parts of them that serve my needs? A lot of people say they care when what they really mean is, I care that you keep giving me the feeling I want. They care when the other person is available, flattering, comforting, and easy to understand. But the test of care is what happens when love costs attention, patience, humility, or effort. Do you still care when the other person is not performing the role you assign them? Do you care about their inner life, or only their effect on yours? The second quality is responsibility. Fromm does not mean responsibility as a heavy duty or a prison sentence. He means the ability to respond. In love, responsibility means you are not emotionally asleep. You notice that your words affect someone. You notice that your absence has meaning. You notice that your avoidance is not neutral. You notice that if you create confusion, the other person may live inside that confusion. But responsibility without respect becomes control. This is where many relationships go wrong. Someone says, I am responsible for you, so I should decide what is best for you. I worry about you, so I should monitor you. I love you, so I should shape you. That is not mature love. That is possession disguised as concern. Responsibility in love means I respond to your real needs, not to my fantasy of who you should become. The third quality is respect. Respect may be the most misunderstood part of love. Many people think respect means politeness, loyalty, or not cheating. Those things matter, but respect is deeper. Respect means seeing the other person as separate from you. They are not your mirror, your trophy, your emotional medicine, your unfinished childhood repair, or your proof that you are worthy. They are a real person with their own center. This is why love without respect becomes suffocating. You may say you love someone, but if you only love the version of them that matches your fantasy, you are not respecting them. If you punish them for having needs you did not approve, you are not respecting them. If their independence feels like a threat to your control, you are not respecting them. Fromm's mature love does not swallow the other person. It allows union without destroying individuality. That sentence matters. Many people confuse love with fusion. They think real love means no distance, no privacy, no separate growth, no separate desire, no inner world that does not include them. But mature love is not two people disappearing into one emotional fog. It is two people becoming deeply connected without erasing each other. The fourth quality is knowledge. You cannot love someone you refuse to understand. And understanding is not the same as collecting information. It is not stalking their social media, reading their tone like a detective, or building a psychological profile so you can predict and manage them. Knowledge in love means patient attention. It means wanting to know the person beneath your projection. What hurts them? What makes them feel safe? What are they afraid to say? What do they protect? What kind of love did they learn before they met you? What do they need that they may not know how to ask for? But knowledge also requires humility because you have to admit that your first interpretation may be wrong. Many conflicts in relationships come from people loving their own story about the other person more than the actual person. You decide they are ignoring you when they are overwhelmed. You decide they do not care when they are afraid. You decide they are attacking you when they are expressing pain badly. Sometimes your interpretation is correct, sometimes it is not. Mature love slows down enough to learn. It does not use psychology as a weapon. It uses understanding as a bridge. Now, here is the uncomfortable parking. Fromm's idea of love also exposes why many people are not actually looking for love. They're looking for proof of value. They want a relationship to answer the question, am I enough? Am I desirable? Am I chosen? Am I safe from being alone? And when love becomes proof of value, the other person becomes a mirror. If they text, you feel worthy. If they pull away, you collapse. If they praise you, you feel real. If they criticize you, you feel destroyed. That is not because you are broken. It is because your self-worth has been outsourced. But a relationship cannot carry the entire burden of proving your existence. Love can affirm you, but it cannot replace your inner foundation. If you use love only to escape yourself, you may become dependent, controlling, or terrified. Fromm believed that love requires maturity because love asks you to give without losing yourself and receive without becoming a child. It asks you to be open without becoming helpless. It asks you to care without turning care into ownership. This is why love is so difficult. It is not difficult only because people are bad. It is difficult because love demands a level of character that modern culture does not train very well. We train people to compete. We train people to brand themselves. We train people to look desirable, stay productive, avoid vulnerability, and move on quickly when something becomes inconvenient. But love requires discipline, patience, concentration, humility, and courage. Discipline, because you cannot love well if your attention is scattered everywhere and your promises change with your mood. Patience, because another human being cannot be understood instantly. Concentration, because love dies when nobody is truly present. Humility, because you must admit that you do not automatically know how to love someone just because you want them. Courage, because real intimacy means risking honesty, not just performing attractiveness. So what does this mean for your relationships? It means the question is not only do they make me feel something. Ask, do I become more honest around them, or do they become more alive around me? Do we respect each other's separateness? Do we know each other more deeply over time, or do we keep repeating the same fantasy? Can we respond to pain without immediately descending our ego? Can I care about their growth even when it does not flatter me? Can they care about mine without trying to control it? These questions are less glamorous than chemistry, but they reveal much more. Chemistry can start a story. It cannot carry an immature relationship by itself. Attraction can open a door. It cannot teach two people how to live with truth. Desire can be powerful. It cannot replace respect. This is why wanting a good relationship is not enough. You have to become capable of the kind of love you say you want, and that may be the hardest part because it is easier to fantasize about the perfect person than to practice becoming a less fearful, less possessive, less performative, more responsible human being. Fromm does not make love smaller by calling it an art. He makes it more serious. If love is an art, then it is not cheap. It requires practice, it requires failure and learning, it requires attention, it requires your whole personality. And maybe that is why good love feels rare, not because nobody wants it. Almost everyone wants it, but wanting love is not the same as learning love. Wanting to be chosen is not the same as becoming able to choose another person with care, responsibility, respect, and knowledge. The real question is not only, when will I find love? The real question is, what am I practicing every day? Am I practicing fear? Am I practicing control? Am I practicing performance? Am I practicing escape? Or am I practicing the art of loving? This video is for education and self-reflection only. It is not therapy, diagnosis, or personal relationship advice. But if Fromm is right, then the difficulty of love is also hopeful, because if love is an art, you are not doomed by your past patterns. You can learn. You can become more awake. You can stop treating people as mirrors, trophies, medicine, or proof. You can begin to meet them as human beings. And when that happens, love stops being only something you fall into. It becomes something you grow into.